our man. Oh, look at that smiling face. Kyle Madson.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Sorry I'm late. I set an alarm for myself because I'm taking on more responsibility here. I'm kind of a big deal now.
Yeah.
And I set an alarm for myself at 2:15 a.m.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I would have been ready to rock and roll in the middle of the night.
Part of me is a little sad that you recognize that and the alarm isn't going to go off at 2:15.
You would. Yeah, no, I recognize it. I've deleted that alarm now, so I know for sure it's not going to go off. But yeah, your producer Jesse texted me. He's like, "Hey, idiot, where are you?" And I was like, "My bad, man." And I checked my alarm to see what happened. AM.
Jesse is savage like that. He might have really texted you, "Hey, idiot, where are you?"
It's verbatim what he said.
Well, that's what I asked him to send you. To be fair, to be fair, that's what I asked him. Are you? Did you think we'd see baseball this year?
Yeah.
Really?
I did. Yeah. I didn't think they were. I didn't. I was pretty confident we weren't going to see 162 games, but I mean they got there, which is pretty wild considering it looked like both sides were in a spot where it's like, all right, they're dug in. The players want X. The owners have said this is their best offer. And about the fourth time that the owner said, okay, this is the drop dead date. Okay, now this is the drop. At some point, it was going to be the drop dead date and then we're going to cancel games. But it turns out they didn't. And even when they said they canceled games, they didn't. Like they said, they're canceling the first two series.
Right.
You postponed them. So, yeah, I didn't think we were going to get 162. I knew we'd get a season of some kind. But I was certain MLB was okay with, April, May games. Don't really it's school's in. There's part of the country where the weather's not great. It's really June, July, August where people can start getting out to games, and it's the summertime and there's nothing else really going on. NBA season's over. NFL regular season hasn't started yet, so baseball can kind of own the summer. So I thought that's honestly what they were shooting for, where the owners were just going to say, cool, we're just going to hang out here. And if they make major concessions, then cool. And apparently the players did. The Players Advisory Board voted 8-0 to not approve the deal. Right. And the players wanted to play and get a full 162 in. So I think it's better for the sport that they're not going to go in with canceled games for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still think any kind of labor strife at this point is pretty exhausting.
Wow. What's your read on that scenario, Kyle? Right, like the advisory board, as I call them, the authority headed up by Scott Boras. It sounds like to me Scott Boras was doing Scott Boras things and trying to milk every penny out of this. And the players eventually said, "Enough is enough. Like the deal's good enough. We want to play. Let's get it done." And that's what it sounds like happened to me.
Yeah, and if you're Scott Boras, you've got these clients where it behooves a young player right now, like Ronald Acuna. The contract he got is so far below what he would get on the open market from the Braves. But that's the only way you can lock in a long-term contract right now. If you're a young player, is to sign that long-term deal for something cheaper than you would get on the open market, or else you're under team control for pennies for a super long time. So it stinks for the players, and you'd understand why Boras and agents would really want their guys to fight for those changes that would get players paid earlier. But on the other hand, you understand why the players, especially the ones who have already been paid, the older players, no, we need to play. We don't want to lose money this year by missing games.
Right. Now, unlike you, Kyle, I was surprised they got the deal done. I was ready to hunker down and unfortunately not see baseball all year long. I thought it was going to be that type of to the death type of negotiations, but I was pleasantly surprised yesterday when they got something done. Now, when you talk about the actual game, talk about the two teams, the A's, your A's, my Giants. I keep hearing that the A's, I don't want to call it a fire sale, but they're going to make their yearly trade of their best player or a couple of best players. Is that on the horizon, or do you think this year might be a little different?
Seems like it is. Seems like Matt Olson's probably gone. Sean Manaea is probably gone. It wouldn't surprise me if Matt Chapman goes, and that's just kind of it's at this point you just expect it. As an A's fan, you just kind of sit around and you wait for it and you hope that it doesn't happen. The fact that the A's are now back on the revenue sharing dime, they're back into the revenue sharing loop is maybe a little bit promising that maybe they keep a player or two, but I don't have any track record of them doing that to make me think that there's anything but a significant fire sale coming with, Matt Olson's value as high as it's ever been. Shamanai's value is going to be super high. I don't know what Matt Chapman's value looks like. He wasn't very good last year, but he's still a young player with a ton of power and a great glove. So there will be some team interested in him. And that's just kind of how it goes. Like, they've already let Bob Melvin walk. They didn't need to do that, but they're like, yeah, he can go. He can go down to San Diego and take a new job. And they hire Mark Kotze, who has no track record of being a manager. Like, this is just the very stereotypical A's tear down and rebuild. So it wouldn't surprise me to see, now that the CBA is signed and free agency has started, it wouldn't surprise me to see the A's start to make those moves and dismantle what was a really fun team.
Well, we saw some moves being made ever since Calvin Ridley got suspended. The NFL was like, yo, let's get it popping. Russell Wilson is out of the NFC West. We got some news on Deshaun Watson today. The new league year is right around the corner. Let's start there, not necessarily with Deshaun Watson, but the cornerback market. What's the news today with Deshaun Watson being clear of criminal charges mean for Jimmy Garoppolo's market here in the upcoming week or so?
It throws another name in. And if you're Pittsburgh, first of all, you have to be a team that's comfortable with where Deshaun Watson's at. And I think, given his level of talent, I think teams are going to find it a lot easier to be comfortable with whatever the outcome is of his civil charges and everything else he's got going on. A team's going to trade for him and trade a lot for him. Whether that team is Pittsburgh, I don't know if Indy's going to be interested, but it's another team that needs a quarterback is going to be taken off the board, which is bad news for San Francisco, because they need all the options available if they're going to get the maximum value for Jimmy Garoppolo. On the other hand, I think a team like Seattle, who just traded away Russell Wilson, I think probably had this domino in mind, like knowing that this was going to come down, and you don't, unless you're tearing it down entirely, you don't move off of Russell Wilson with Drew Lock as your backup plan. So I think Seattle is going to be really heavily involved. It doesn't sound like Miami or Tampa Bay are interested. So now you're looking at Indianapolis, who just traded Carson Wentz. You're looking at the Steelers. And again, those are teams that have been tied to Jimmy Garoppolo. So it matters for sure, in the sense that it could remove a team from the quarterback conversation. I think it might matter more for the 49ers, though, that he could wind up in Seattle, where now all of a sudden it's like, cool, Russell Wilson is gone.
See, you secretly love Russell Westbrook. I knew it.
No, I was right about I did that because I was right about to say Russell Wilson isn't as good as he used to be, and that's kind of where Russell Westbrook is at. So, you can tie those two together there. But you
cool. It's wild, man. I don't know what happened to Kyle. He just completely disappeared from I don't know what happened.
It was that was crazy. It must be my internet in my closet.
But the damn 95.7 The Game can't get that internet working.
All right, so where was I?
You were saying Russell Wilson isn't as good as he used to be. Really? You don't think so?
No, I mean, he wasn't last year. And I don't know if that was a product of him being unhappy in Seattle or just Seattle's team not being very good. I don't know. But if you're the 49ers, a guy who was 16-4 against you in 10 years, 80% winning percentage. Yeah. You can name the 4 wins off the top of your head. Like, you remember them. They were that rare. He leaves the division and you're thinking, great, chalk up 2 wins against Seattle. It's either Drew Lock or somebody who's not going to be half as good as Russell Wilson is. Well, now all of a sudden it's Deshaun Watson instead. Yeah. And that's where I think the Niners could really get screwed here, because I think Jimmy Garoppolo's market, I don't think Pittsburgh was ever going to get in a bidding war for Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, that's a smart team. I don't think they're going to go, okay, fine, a first round pick for Jimmy. That's what I don't think that. I think they probably have a ceiling on where they were going to go for Garoppolo, and that ceiling is not going to change whether the Washington Commanders or Indianapolis Colts or Seattle Seahawks are involved in a trade for him. So I don't know if it affects his market that much. I think, like I said, the bigger issue is if Deshaun Watson winds up in Seattle. That's where I think it affects the 49ers.
Kyle, Thursday night game 2012. Alex Smith at the helm. I think it was a 13-6 win over Seattle.
Delaney Walker TD.
Frank Gore with the late run and the last year at Candlestick. That was the second one. The third one was in the rain in San Francisco late in the season in one of their bad years at Levi's. And then the last game of the season in 2019.
Yep.
He's right. You can count them on the hand. You remember the 4 games that you beat Russell Wilson in the last 10 years. That is part of me is like, look, I know Deshaun is sick. He's a bad football player. He can go. But we ain't never going to see nothing like what Russell Wilson did to the 49ers.
Unbelievable.
Just him being gone. They could go get Jesus at quarterback. And I don't know if it'll be as rough as what we experienced with Russell Wilson.
The crazy thing about all those games is you talk about the 13-6 game on Thursday Night Football. That's just kind of a typical weird Seattle game. Niners win by a touchdown. There was the Frank Gore game where it's a 1-score game. I forget the final in that one. But then the one in the rain in 2018 was overtime, like 26-23 or 23-20, something like that, as a game-winning field goal. And then the 2019 one came down to the play at the goal line. Like, they beat Russell Wilson by a grand total of like 14 points.
And
like,
that's wild.
That game
crazy.
And that season, to me, epitomizes what it was to go up against Russell Wilson. Because, in my opinion, those 2 games in 2019, the Seahawks had no business playing with the Niners. The Niners were so much better than even in the last game of the season. They were smacking them around. Like, it was easy work for the Niners, and it didn't matter because they had Russell Wilson, and it's always going to be close. And more times than not, you're going to lose. And that epitomized what it was.
The Niners were way better than them in week 12 or 13 or whatever it was this year when they lost in Seattle.
The overtime game, And
it didn't matter. Like, the Seahawks just go in there and beat them. It's not.
Man, he hurts you guys, dude.
Oh, he was traumatizing. No, I'm so
that touchdown this year. The touchdown this year at Levi's, where he almost got sacked and then spun away and then just finds a receiver open in the corner and just throws a dime. Even though Azeez Al-Shire's right there, he was a freaking magician. Bro. It was ridiculous. Like, he's a great player who like stepped his game up no matter how good or how bad the 49ers were. Like, Russell Wilson was going to be a problem.
Hey, Kyle, I kind of agree with you that he's not what he was. He's still a really good like top quarterback. Do you think Denver had to do it? Like, were they in a position where like you got an opportunity to get Russell Wilson? You gave up a lot, but you got to go get him.
Did they give up a lot though?
They gave up a lot of like I guess physical stuff. I know the picks aren't physical, but you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot on paper. They gave up 3 players and 4 picks.
Yeah,
like that's what I mean by a lot. But I mean, break it down. Maybe it wasn't as much as it seems on paper.
If you were going to compete in that division, so Aaron Rodgers is off the table. Carson Wentz is not it. Jimmy Garoppolo is not it. Whoever else is going to be available, they weren't going to wait on Deshaun Watson, clearly. They needed to make a splash. Like, there's not a player in this year's draft that jumps out as that, like, oh, man, put him in Trevor Lawrence day one. He could win for you, or Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Like, it's not anything like last year's class. So they had to make a splash. And if you're ranking the quarterbacks in the league who can hang with Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert and be effective over a 17-game season, like, Russell Wilson's on the short list. And of the available quarterbacks, he was the only one on that list. So, yeah, I think if you're Denver, because it's not like Patrick Mahomes is 30. It's not like Justin Herbert's 30. It's not like these guys are on the
it's not exactly a declining division of quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're going to be really good for a long time. And Russell Wilson's 34 now, and it looks like I think his game is not going to age great, but he's a really smart player and he works his ass off. So maybe he does wind up, his game does wind up aging more gracefully than we think. But I think they had to do it. They had to do something. Like there was no way they were going to sell their fan base on, yeah, hey, Drew Lock, yeah, we're going to go hang with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr to a lesser extent.
Is Russell Wilson third in that division?
Yeah.
For sure?
Yeah.
Boy, y'all really do be loving Justin Herbert, man.
He's really good, dude.
No, he is.
He is.
But
yes.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
He's only in year 2.
Hey man, I smell what you
I understand that. I'm not in the business of projecting. I understand he's in your.
He's got a bazooka.
Okay.
Just a howitzer on his right shoulder, bro.
By the way, Derek Carr played very good last year. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, but no, Derek Carr's really good, but he's just not in that. He's in that tier.
It's the coldest division of quarterbacks in the entire NFL, though, with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And until we find out that Trey Lance is really good, and then we'll start looking at the NFC West.
But look, then it's not going to be a cold division of quarterbacks in the NFC West because there's only going to be one. He's going to Trey Lance is going to run around talking about acknowledge me. That's what's about to happen next when that boy get a chance.
Damian's face.
That's what Trey Lance is going to be saying to everybody once he get under center.
I thought that face was reserved for when I talk.
Trey Lance is going to have that next season. So the following season after Tom Brady retires.
You two,
but really, not if Deshaun Watson goes to Seattle. I think Kyler Murray's really good, and he's going to be even better once he has a real head coach. Matthew Stafford just won a Super Bowl. Like, Matthew Stafford's a good player, but there's a chance that Matthew Stafford, who just won a Super Bowl, by the end of this year is the 4th best quarterback in the division, which is nuts. I'm not predicting
banking on the Deshaun Watson thing happening.
That's banking on Deshaun Watson and then Trey Lance being awesome out of the gate.
Hey, look here. I think Kyler might be a little overrated.
I think Kyler is actually really properly rated.
Well, people talk about it.
He's in that top 10 range.
Kyler's good. I think he might be a little overrated.
Cliff Kingsbury stinks. Cliff Kingsbury is Kyler.
Maybe Kyler stinks.
I don't think Kyler stinks. I think Cliff Kingsbury is not a very good coach.
Did this offseason scream?
Have you ever seen a team look as ill-prepared for a playoff game as Arizona did this year?
Did this early offseason scream leadership to you from Kyler?
No, but I think it's somebody that would
lead. Does that sound like somebody that would right the ship late in the season and make sure everything goes the right way? Like Kyler or Cliff Kingsbury, he's suspect. But what I saw for about a month from Kyler told me, maybe it's not all Kingsbury's fault that they falter down the stretch.
Maybe. I'm not a psychologist.
Neither am I.
You two are so different when it comes to your teams. Like, Kenny is like, yo, there's only going to be one. It's going to be Trey Lance. He's going to be so much better than everybody else. Kyle, like, if I searched our text thread long enough, I could find like game 1 of an NBA finals with like Warriors Cavs where Kyle's like, it's over. Like, we're such trash. Like, it's over. We suck. It'd be the series that they went on to win 4-0. This is awful. I'm turning this off. It's like, they're just so bad.
I never turned the game off. Even when this is text thread from last night from my show. This is.
Oh, I bet this is good.
Yeah, no, this is really good. This is right before. This is right before Steph just went off. Like, Steph had 10 points in the first quarter, and midway through the fourth, he had 10 points or 15 or whatever it was, or midway through the third. Good googly moogly, the Warriors are ass.
Oh my!
The next one, Wiggins sucks, which he does. That point stands.
Settle down.
Andrew Wiggins is the single greatest argument in history against fan voting for the All-Star game. I stand by all of this, by the way.
Wow.
And then I started laughing and was like, "Oh, Steph read this."
Okay, Jordan Poole.
There you go. Because Steph went through. Jordan Poole's next.
Well, the next time Kyle Madson joins us, he'll be a significantly better person. There'll be a whole half of you that is very literally better. So we're looking forward to the new and improved Kyle Madson, who will join us later on. As Kyle, you won't be with us next week because your wedding is next week. So
Yeah, and are you doing? I don't know.
You did know I won't be here either.
You're kind of busy, FYI.
That's correct. Kyle and I will be a couple of bottles of Luke Belair deep at this time next Friday.
Hey.
We'll come back, Kyle. We appreciate you. We'll
Congratulations, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks, Casey.